The Recovery Room is a podcast birthed from a place of deep desire for healing and serenity. I wanted to create a space for people like myself who are on a journey to discover their true their identity rooted in Christ. A place where we unpack the hard seasons that led us into covering our scars. A space where we develop the skin we were always designed to thrive in. A space to laugh, cry, feel, be heard and seen in our truest form, without judgment or the presence of shame, but comforted by the presence of the Lord. A place where safety is served, vulnerability is lived, integrity built, and character developed. Healing isn't a destination you reach, it's a journey you decide to take. Welcome to the Recovery Room. I am your host, Nisi Diamond. Let's unpack this together. Welcome back to another episode of the Recovery Room. I am your host, Nisi Diamond. All right, let's pick back up. On the last episode, I talked to you all about just what I was going through as far as learning the process of the renewal of the mind. In this episode, I will continue that, but I will elaborate on transitions. So I'm in that space of having my mind renewed, learning more of the ways of the Lord and how He moves, how He speaks, all of the things. And then I felt a shift again, and I knew that I was moving. I didn't know where, I didn't know when. I just knew that I was moving. I just felt like it was time to transition. So I began the process. One thing about learning to move with the Lord is when you hear or sense Him shifting you, you just move in the next step of obedience. And so when I felt like it was time for me to transition, I just began looking for another place. I had somewhat of a vision. I knew that actually by way of my son. He just said, wherever we're going, we need stairs. And so I'm like, okay. So that gave me an indicator. So when I began looking for places, I'm looking for stairs, a place with stairs. And so I'm looking all over the DFW, the Dallas Metroplex area. And I'm looking in areas that I usually or typically wouldn't move in because I'm just like, I don't know where, but I know we're moving. And so I'm going through all of these apartments. I'm looking at townhomes, and nothing is feeling like it's it. So I don't have that sense of peace in any place. So I continue looking, continue searching, and then I'm like, okay, well, maybe the Lord is telling me to move where I am, but in a bigger unit. I felt like there was expansion and these stairs. So those are the only two things that I had to go off of. And so I looked at my apartment that I was in, and I'm like, well, let me look at a larger unit. Let me try to, keep moving and see if the Lord opens a door that way. And there was one unit didn't have stairs, but it was larger, and I felt like, okay, this may be more of the expansion piece. So I began the process, and I got the lease. And I went home, and I'm sitting in there, and I'm looking over the lease, and I still don't feel peace, but I'm at this point where I don't know what is the next step. And so this was a process of maybe 2 weeks where I'm looking for places and trying to figure it out. My lease is coming up to an end. And so I'm trying to crunch. This is like crunch time. So I remember I sat at my desk and I went to sign the lease. I'm like, well, I don't know. So let me just sign. And the moment I began to sign my name, my hand just stopped. And I'm just like, okay. And so I put the pen down and I just said, well, Lord, whatever it is, I just need you to help me. And so I sat there for a while. I think I put on some soaking music and I just was sitting there. And the Lord whispered, Georgia. Clear as day. It was so clear and it was so soft and gentle. And I just knew that He had spoken. I said, Georgia. Like I didn't know that it was out of state, nothing. So the only place that I did consider, because I knew that I wanted to leave Texas. Texas didn't feel like it was my home, and I didn't feel connected. I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel that sense of home. Like, when you go somewhere, it's like I just never felt that. And so I had a couple places on my list, LA being number one. So I'm thinking, okay, if it is out of state, it would be LA. Like, everything made sense. And I remember I had that written on a sticky note in my bathroom mirror. Like, I had four states: Colorado, LA, Oklahoma, and there was one more, and I'm not remembering where that was, but I had 4 options. I'm like, it has to be one of these. And LA was starred because I'm like, this one makes the most sense. I've always wanted to live in California. The leadership and people that had mentored me were stationed in LA. So I'm like, LA. So when he said Georgia, I said, who? Georgia. I had no connections here. Um, just this was never on my radar. Georgia was never on my radar. And so I sat and I said, Georgia, huh? And I knew he spoke. And so I said, okay. And I just agreed quickly. One thing I've learned with my walk with the Lord is just agree quickly. Like, he said it, the next instruction, the next sense of peace, sense of assurance is coming in your agreement. And so I said, okay, I heard you. And I said, continue to speak to me. And so I went to bed that night. I was weeping. I was emotional because I knew I heard him. I also knew that Georgia was never somewhere that I wanted to move. And how do I do this? Like, it was just a lot at one time. So I remember going to lay down that night. 'Cause at this time too in my life, I'm not sleeping well. And so I remember I went and I laid in the bed and I put on some worship music, because that used to help me just kind of not be so anxious and tormented in that time. Like, I always had worship or something ministering to my spirit, even when I was asleep or trying to relax. So I remember the questions in my mind was just, how do I'm pretty fairly new in my walk, my serious walk with the Lord. So I'm like, I hear your voice, but I'm not confident in that. And so I had to develop in understanding my discernment and hearing him clearly. And so when he said to shift states, that part of me that was underdeveloped, I'm like, am I gonna hear you there? Like, am I gonna know you there? How am I gonna talk to you? I was so bound to how I had known him that I couldn't see beyond where I was. So I went and laid down. I have the worship music on. I drift into sleep, and the song woke me up. It's like my spirit connected to the words. And so it was a song, Voice of God, Dante Bowen, something like that, Maverick City-ish, and Stephanie Gretzinger. And the lyrics. So he said, I can hear it in the New York City streets, and I can hear you in the country, Georgia fields of green. And I said, I can hear. It was the answer to, I didn't even speak this to the Lord. I wasn't praying it. I wasn't saying these things to him. It was just that inner unbelief and my inner doubt. And so when I heard the lyrics, I just woke up and I was just crying because I'm like, he spoke. He spoke and he confirmed it right there in the midst of the night. He's like, yeah, you can hear me anywhere. And so that too has shown me that the Lord can truly, he knows your thoughts from afar off. So like the word is true. Like, when he says these things in his words, like, it's true, and he'll reveal it to you. And so that was a revelatory moment for me. I didn't doubt that he said it. I knew he said it, and he put his stamp on it. And so the next day, I remember I just began to grow in excitement. I was just excited. I'm like, okay, Georgia, all right. And I remember going to church, and I remember driving down the highway, and I just remember beginning to pray reverence. Like, it was just a burning desire in my heart. Like, I need the reverence of the Lord. I need more reverence. Reverence. And this was not a word that I was privy to. And so when I kept saying it, I'm like, what does this even mean? Like, what is that? And so reverence was just one of those things that I just continuously prayed. I remember I was doing book signings at the time, and I'm sitting at the table. I'm like, reverence, reverence, right? It was just a repeated thing. Like, I need reverence. I need reverence. And so I began to pack up, got the U-Haul and things, because it was 2 weeks. It was like an urgent, like, Georgia and now. And so he gave me a few signs. Um, Coming back to my apartment, he said, go check the mail. I went and I checked the mail. There was a postcard in the mail, big red postcard, and said Georgia. I said, wow. Get back in the car, back up. A car that is identical to mine pulls in next to me. I'm backing up. He says, look at the license plate. I looked at the license plate, Georgia. And it was just clear, just continuously clear to me, like, I said it, and I'm going to continue to lead you. And so that's one of the things I adore about the Lord. It's like, when you agree with his word, he continues to reveal and unveil what he spoke. But it's that place where we get stagnant in doubt, that we stifle off the conversation with him. It's like, he's no longer speaking, because he doesn't speak doubt. He doesn't speak fear. He doesn't speak unbelief. And so to grow in faith, you have to speak in the direction in which he's speaking, and he'll continue to lead you. And so that was just a moment for me where my mind and my heart was just coming undone from doubt and fear. And so I got back in my apartment, I'm packing, I got boxes, and I'm just like, man, like, we're leaving. And it was just becoming real day by day. And so I remember I opened my cabinet and I was cleaning out, like, my the dishes, and I was in this season of purging still. And so I was removing the shot glasses that I had. And so I'm throwing the shot glasses away. And in the back, there's a shot glass with Atlanta on it. I've never been to Atlanta. And I'm like, I'm calling my best friend. I'm like, did you buy me a shot glass? And she's like, I don't think so. Like, I got you the one from somewhere else. And so I'm like, how did this shot glass get here? And so I kept it. And I'm like, Atlanta, the whole time. Like, this was in there the whole time. I didn't buy it, and I don't know where it came from. And so I set it on my desk next to the lease and next to my laptop. And that was just another moment of the Lord just revealing, like, yeah. And so I'm cleaning, packing, going through all of the emotions of moving. I didn't tell my son until couple days later, because I'm like, I want to be sure before I give him some news like that. But he's been wanting to move too, so it's like we were both on the same page, and we were in sync. And so I remember later on in that day, I sat down and I said, "Come here, son. Let me talk to you." And I told him, I said, "We're moving." He's like, "Yeah, I know." I said, "Yeah, I know you know, but we're leaving the state." And I said, "We're moving to Georgia." And he was so excited. Neither of us we're not from here. That we don't have no ties here. So there's no reason to be geeked about it. And so he was so excited. And that was another moment for me of, like, the Lord's like, I'm engineering this. I got it. And so I was elated that he was happy. It made me feel better, because if you have children, it's like every decision you make impacts them. And so I'm very thoughtful and mindful of just the way I live my life, because I know that I'm responsible for another human being. And so him being excited just gave me another sense of freedom. And so in that time, I'm continuing to just seek the Lord, stay in his face, and preparing for this move. And he doesn't give me any instructions other than Georgia. So I'm like, well, where do we go? What city? One thing that was very important to me is, like, I know I need a strong spiritual home. I need a church. And so the only church that I knew of, I based the move in that area. And the school system. So I wanted to make sure that my son was in a good school system. And so I went to that city, because when I was asking the Lord, like, where, he became silent. And I'm like, for sure. And all I could remember, or the scriptures that just kept coming up, was Abraham. It's like, Abraham, go. Go where? To a place I will show you. And so that just kept replaying, just anchored me, like, he's going to show me. I just have to go. And so I came to that specific city. Um, got an Airbnb. Even that was just the Lord. So I'm remember when we finally moved and I'm driving and crying and I'm nervous, I'm shaking. It's like this is such a pivotal moment in my life. I mean, I'm grown, but I have never made a decision like this to just uproot everything, and I'm just leaving to go somewhere where I'm not even certain where the landing place is. I just know I have to get to this place. And so there were a lot of emotions, a lot of excitement, but a lot of fear. And so I remember just driving down the road crying, and I have the worship music on. Um, Madison Ryan Ward, New Thing. That entire album was it was just the soundtrack of my life for that time. It's like the Lord is doing a new thing in my life. And so, and I love music. And so he just met me in that space. So I listened to that album on rotation, the whole 14-hour drive to Georgia from Texas. And I remember when I got to Louisiana, which was maybe 3 or 4 hours out, and I was getting gas, and I realized, and I had my car on the back of the U-Haul, like hitched on. And when I got to get gas, I looked at the tire where they kind of strap it, and the strap was loosed. And so I'm like, oh man, but it's like 3 in the morning. There's nobody at the gas station that could help. So I just kind of tightened it as best as I could. And I remember like all of the emotions I was feeling, I didn't have time to sit and worry about it. So I put my hand on and said, Lord, you told me to go, and you're gonna make sure that we get there safely. I'm not gonna worry about if the car fall, it fall. And so I kept driving, and then I got to Alabama, and the Lord says 1 year. And I heard them, but I'm continuing to drive, continuing to listen to music, emoting, all the things. And then when I get right at the border of Georgia, I said, "Huh? Did you say something? A year? What that mean?" It's like I had heard them, but it didn't register. And so once I got right there at Georgia, I said, "Oh, he said something." So I said, "One year? What does that mean? What is that?" And so let me back up. So in the apartment when I'm moving, I'm walking around my island, and the Lord stops me. He says, "Don't run." And I said, "Okay." And I knew in that moment what he was getting at. It was like, what you're going to face or what you experience there is going to be tough, but don't run. And so I said, "Okay." And so he just continued to speak to me. So we get to the Airbnb. I'm full of nerves, full of anxiety, all of the things. But I get there, drop my car off there, and then I go to drop the U-Haul off. And then I get back to the Airbnb, and the host was she was so sweet. She was a South African woman. She was a minister. And when she greeted me, she said, "I've been praying for this space, praying for you and your son. And I've just been in prayer for you." And that settled me, because I'm like, that's not common. Like, that's not just happenstance. Like, the Lord is continuing to let me know, like, I'm behind this. In the midst of all of my nerves and fear, I knew like I could trust that he was behind this, and he was keeping us. Um, so I get settled in the Airbnb, um, still very much uncertain, unsure, and I knew that I just needed to get to church. And so we got here. I don't even remember what day it was, but I know I was just looking forward to Sunday. And so Sunday came, I went to the only church I knew of, and I remember just walking in, I just began crying immediately, just because I'm like, okay, we made it, but now what? And so after the service, I felt an emptiness. And so I'm like, dang, like, what is that? And so this church had 4 different services. And so on the way out, I asked the greeter, the usher, I said, does he preach the next one as well? And could I stay?" And she said, "Yes, you can stay." And I said, "Okay." And so I said, "I'm gonna go to the restroom and then I'm gonna come back in the sanctuary." And when I went to the restroom area, I just sat on the bench. It's like I couldn't even go into the restroom. I just sat there and I just nagging with this feeling. And I'm like, "What is this?" And I just began to cry again. And the Lord says, "Leave. Like this is not the church that I have for you." And I was crushed because this was the only familiar ministry that I knew of. And so I'm like, well, if this not it, what am I supposed to do? And so I get me and my son, we leave, go back to the Airbnb. So in Georgia, I'm an hour ahead from Texas. So I'm like, well, let me listen to my previous church. And so I go to the Airbnb, I get on YouTube, and another ministry that I've never seen is highlighted, and I'm drawn to it. And so the sermon was "Do not worry." And I was worried. So that alone spoke to me, and I clicked it and I began to listen, and I could immediately feel the presence of the Lord, the comfort of the Lord. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, what is this? And everything that he was speaking on in the sermon was exactly like just what I was wrestling with, just worry and fear and doubt and not understanding the ways of the Lord. And so I just, I listened to it and over and over. And so 3 times the Lord, so that's your pastor. That's your pastor. And so I'm like, okay. And so I just felt this security, like, okay, I'm good. And so I looked up the church. I had never heard of it. It was not a big church. And so on this process too, I was looking for apartments in this area that I was in, and I could not find a place. So when we got there up until Sunday, so I think we got here like on a Wednesday afternoon. So throughout the week, I'm just looking for an apartment, looking for a place. Nothing is going through. I'm in the leasing office falling apart. Because I'm going back to different places. I'm getting denied, and then it's just places that's just not conducive to just me and my son. It's not conducive to our lifestyle. And I was like, this is not working. I'm frustrated. I'm nervous. I'm like, did I make the wrong decision? I'm by myself. It was just a lot. And so I was just unable to secure a place. I felt no peace again. I'm just like, you said come here, and I can't be homeless. And so that whole week again after that Sunday, I'm looking at places and I'm trying to figure it out, and it's very frustrating. Every place that I did like, I kept getting denied. And so I'm like, Lord, this is a lot. And I remember saying, don't run. And so I took a break in the midst of looking at places one day, and I said, let me just drive in the city. Like, let me just not think about it for a while. And so I drove into the city of Atlanta, the heart of Atlanta, and immediately I was just overcome with emotion. I'm just crying because I saw the depravity. I saw so much just homelessness and the drugs and just people not in their right mind. So I'm like, why would you bring me here? And so I was just devastated. Because I'm originally from Detroit. So I grew up in a lot of that same environment. So Atlanta was a familiar experience for me. So Texas was a very different experience. So then to be I'm riding through Atlanta, like, this feels like Detroit. Like, why am I back? That's what it felt like. I felt like I was back. And I was just crushed. I'm like, why am I here? And so just continue to look for places and trying to keep myself gathered. Um, that next week, I call my aunt. She's talking to me. She's like, hey, call, Terrell is there. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I linked with a childhood friend that is now in Atlanta. And so I said, hey, send me your address. I want to look in your area. And so he did. So the next day I came out to Cobb County area. And as soon as I got off the highway, a rush of peace just came over me. And I was like, okay, I I think this is where I'm supposed to be. And I just remember joy coming and I just got excited and I'm like, okay, like here we go. Here goes some motion. Like, all right. And so I began to look at some places around this area. I found one spot that I was considering. And then I got back to the Airbnb and I'm going to do the application because I'm like, I found it. This is it finally. And then I get to the desk to sign the lease and my hands stop again. I said, what in the world? What am I supposed to do? And so I stopped. I knew that that wasn't the place, but I'm like, I'm frustrated. This was the only space that felt like a little bit of familiarity too, because I had this whole idea in my mind. I wanted a luxury apartment, all the things, and so I'm like, what now? So that's not it. Um, go back. So then the Sunday comes, so I go to the church, which was somewhere in Atlanta, West Side Atlanta. I don't know. I'm still fairly new here. And so I go to the church. It's in a school building and I pull right up to the front. I'm greeted like it's immediately a tangible presence of the Lord. I walk through the under barrier way going into the door and they have people out there greeting you and they're just like welcome home. Welcome. I'm like, this is different. I walk right into the lobby. I see one lady who's just greeting and just very energetic and her smile captivating me. I'm like, wow, like I could see the tangible presence of the Lord. And I'm like, and again, I'm in a very broken space. So I'm like, her smile just lifted my spirits. And I walked past her to the looking for the formation where the children's ministry. Dropped my son off. I walked back up the stairs, walking down the hallway, and I thought, I'm like, I don't know these people. Why would I just drop my son off down there? Like, what? And I'm having these thoughts, but I'm continuing to go to the sanctuary. It's like I'm being led, but I'm having this fearful thought again, like, I don't know them. Like, why would I do that? That's not a wise choice. And so continue to walk down the hallway leading to the sanctuary. They open the doors. I walk into the sanctuary and reverence. Reverence met me at the door. And I'm like, huh. And I just felt the Holy Spirit so strong, a way I have never experienced in myself. What do I do? Like I didn't know what to do with my hands. I'm like, I just need to get to the seat and sit down because I feel dirty. Like I don't want to touch nothing. And so I go to sit down, and I'm just observing, and I was just like, I'm captivated in this space. Like, what is this? They are praying. There's the people on the mic walking back and forth in front of the stage, and they're praying. People are worshiping. It's just an experience like I've never experienced nothing like this. And in that moment, I knew that the Lord had met me with the desire He put in my heart. So the prayers that I had been praying for deeper reverence, I had met it in that space. Like, this is reverence. And so I just was like, oh my goodness. Like it's an experience. Like I can't explain it any further than that. It's just like, oh my gosh. And so I'm sitting there, worship begins. Worship is different. It's just this beautiful space where just the presence of the Lord is just so tangible. And then the pastor comes and I see the prayer team rush to him and begin praying over him. And I'm observing everything like, what is that? Like, I've never seen this. And it's just captivated me. I'm like, this is different. And so I was just falling in love moment by moment. And so, um, yeah, the church that I had become a part of, which is 2819 Church, um, my life has just not been the same since that day. My life has completely been transformed. Um, yeah. So, yes, I get plugged in immediately. I didn't want to leave. After they have another segment where you can learn your spiritual gifting, so growth track. So I went, I finished that process, and I'm just now just trying to get information to see how do I get plugged in, because another prayer that I continuously prayed for years while I was in Texas was community. I'm like, I need people. And especially when I was going through that space of having my mind renewed and just feeling alone, I just needed a hug and I needed people who were on the same journey that I could borrow some strength from. And so just where I was, I just had nobody that I was connected to. I was in Texas is huge. It's so many people, but I just felt so alone. And so I just remember just crying out for community. I'm like, Lord, I need community. I need people. I can't do this by myself. And so, and I'm like praying to him, like, "Bro, you said don't do life alone. Where are my people?" And so I was very adamant on just getting connected. And so I joined their small group community, which was squads. And I got into a squad immediately. And another prayer that I was praying with, Lord, I was tired of big ministries. I specifically pray, like, Lord, I want to be somewhere where I can belong, where I can be rooted, where I know the people and there's a sense of family and community. Like, I don't want to be a part of a big ministry. I don't want to be a number. I don't want to be a church goer that's in and out. I'm sick of it. And so that was a prayer that I had prayed. And so the fact that the Lord led me when He led me, and it was a sense of urgency, like now. I had 2 weeks to pack my entire apartment, get a U-Haul, get an Airbnb to Georgia to move the whole state. 2 weeks. And I knew whatever, why ever he was calling me to Georgia, it was quick, and I needed to move expeditiously. And and I understood now, like while I'm in the space, I'm like, I get it. Why there was such a rush? Because if you know anything about 2819, it is now a mega church. But when I arrived, it was not. But when I walked in for the first time, I felt the magnitude of it. I said, this is huge. I just could sense it. I said, this is massive. So all of that, being able to pull right up to the front, park my car right on the side of the curb, walk into the building. There's no line, no nothing. It was just a growing ministry. It was just a small mom and pop church, and it was exactly what I needed. And I was able to get plugged in, and the Lord just answered my prayers back to back to back. And so I'm in this squad, and I remember just the first time they were asking, like, "What are we grateful for this week?" I said, "This." Like, this is an answered prayer. Like, I've just wanted to be surrounded by people who love God and who are on a journey that we can, do life together. I just was tired of doing life alone. And so that squad just blessed my life. Like those the right on time. And so I just continued to be devoted to the church, and I got plugged in. I joined multiple teams because I'm like, this my home. The Lord said, this my pastor. I'm here, and ain't no getting rid of me. And so I'm joining the prayer team. I joined the production team, and just really getting plugged in with community. And yeah, several months go by. Oh, and then so the week after I go to the church, I'm still looking for a place and I'm not finding anywhere. So I come back to the area I was in, and I find a park. One thing about me, I love a park, I love music, and a sandwich. Those three, I'm good. Give me a park, some music, and a sandwich, I'm great. And so I pull up to a park in the Cobb area, and I just feel the peace of God. And so we spent the whole day there, and I remember just it was after church, so I was just re-listening to the message and reading over what he just taught. And the man teach like I have never heard anyone break down scripture like Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell. I have never heard it. And so I was just so engulfed with the word. And so I'm sitting at this park, and I'm like, I don't know where, my home is, but I feel the peace of God here. And so I'm just dwelling until he opens a door. And so I looked at a few places. I go back to the Airbnb throughout the week. Like I'm driving to Cobb every day because I know like this is where I feel the Lord. I don't know where the home is, but I'm gonna be in this area. So I'm driving from Lawrenceville to Smyrna every day. And I just spend my whole day in this Cobb area because I'm like, it's somewhere here. I don't know where, but it's somewhere here. So then frustration kicks in. So this may be a week that I'm not finding anything. And I remember a bit of tears. And I'm like, Lord, I can't be homeless. Like I have a son. I'm not made, I ain't built for it. And so I'm like, if I don't find a place, I think I said within like the next couple days, I'm going back. And then I remember that don't run. And I'm like, well, I think I'm gonna run. And so I'm just like, Lord, make a way. So I go to sleep. I wake up the very next morning and a Zillow pop up on my phone of a townhouse. Again, I'm not looking for a townhouse. I want a luxury apartment. And so I'm like, yuck. But it grabbed my attention. And so I'm like, okay. But at this time too, I know what I want, but I'm also desperate because it's looking like homeless. And that's not going to be in the car. So I booked the Airbnb for think I had 3 weeks. I said that should give me enough time to find a place. We're on week 2. And so panic is starting to settle in, doubt, all of these things. And so I'm like, well, whatever works. Like I'm cool with it. So I see the place is out here in Smyrna, and I remember getting my son dressed and like, okay, Lord, this is my last attempt at this. And I remember that's what I'm saying as I'm going to the car. I said, this is my last attempt, and if this doesn't work, I'm leaving. And so I got to the space. And I remember I pulled up. I didn't like it immediately because I'm like, I had an idea in my mind. And when I parked, the Lord spoke and he said, humility. I said, okay, humility. Okay. And so I walked in the townhouse, big space, right to the right of the door, stairs. And mm, I knew this was the space because also when I was at the last church service that I went to from Texas, walking across to my car, the Lord gave me another vision that there would be 3 rooms because he told me that I would be starting a podcast. And so I'm like, okay. So I see the stairs. I immediately walk up the stairs. And this space I'm in right now, this is the just the main floorway up here, but this is now the podcast space. And my son's room is right there. And so I came up here, and I looked over. There's a little balcony right here. And I looked over, and the word grace just came. I said, grace. I said, if this is my home, I'm going to need your grace. For one, I keep getting denied. And two, just gracing me to steward what you're giving me. And so I walked through the space, I prayed over it, and I said, Lord, if this is my space, I'll take it. And so it's 2 rooms. Like I was content on getting a 1 bedroom. I wanted a 1 bedroom luxury apartment with a large closet space that I could turn into my son's room. Because rent is stupid. And that's what I was looking for. I said a 1 bedroom luxury apartment, that's what I'm on. And so the 2 rooms, I said, well, 3 spaces where we had so much space. And I said, and here goes again that expansion. I felt like it was bigger. And so that's why I was looking at my previous apartment for a larger space because I'm like, well, I feel this largeness and I feel I need stairs. So I was trying to figure it out. But when I got into this space, I said, okay, here it is. My son is growing up. He needs his own space. Made sense. I said, okay. And so I walked back through the downstairs. I'm like, this is a lot of space. And also, when I was getting ready to move, and the Lord told me Georgia, I also felt the sense of people. Like there was people connected to me. I felt this large community on me. And I just like, okay, but I'm thinking this will be my family. Like once I move, because I'm the only one in Texas. I have a few cousins there, but all of my family was still in Michigan. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe when I move, my family's gonna move because I just feel people. So I'm like, okay. And so then when I got here, I'm just like, okay, there's space. So I leave the place. I pray when I leave. I go back to the park and I sit there and I'm crying because I'm like, now I'm like scared because I'm like, I keep getting disappointed. I'm not getting a place and I feel you, but I'm not sure. And so I'm crying all day. I'm praying. I let the lady know, hey, I'm interested. And she sent over the lease. I filled it out. And I sat at the park and I'm just crying. I'm just letting my son play. And I'm just in a moment, just like, I don't know if this is going to work. And so on our way, leaving back to go to the Airbnb, I came to the space again. I looked again, came upstairs again, just stood in the space again. And I just prayed and I said, okay, Lord, have your way. Before I made it back to the Airbnb, I was approved for the space. And it was just a relief. And I was just like, wow, 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 wow. And so it revived me because I'm like, this is given. What did I do? Like, I made a mistake. And so everything just began to line up. And so my home that I'm in now is 15 minutes from the church. And it's the Lord orchestrating where I was supposed to be because I was way in another city. And so I just see his hand in it all. And so, yeah, moved in, got plugged into the church and just I'm just grateful of how the Lord has moved in my life. Um, and so all of the lesson that I learned from just transition and what I now teach in the spaces is that obedience, obedience matters. I was praying for healing because I was coming out of a traumatic relationship. I was praying for community. I was praying for reverence. I was praying to be taught and led. And the Lord met me with all of those prayers were here. And so what that taught me to is like the things that we pray, it never occurred to me that my answer was in a whole nother state. And so the things that we are praying for, it's like the Lord will answer you. It just may not be where you are. Maybe he's shifting you to another space. And everything that I had been begging for in Texas and couldn't find was here easily, effortless. My first squad leader, and he helped me transition because transitions are hard even when you're grown, and it's hard because you're leaving one space of the only way you've known yourself, all of the familiarity, um how you've now grown, like who you are in that space, and then you transition and everything shifts. Nothing's familiar. I don't know anybody, but the way he engineered a sense of familiarity in the space that I was in, my squad leader was from Texas. And her roommate was from Mansfield, Texas, which was right where I lived. So there was a sense of connectedness. I'm like, okay, I'm here, I'm alone, but I'm not alone. And then I can bond with these people who know exactly where I just came from. And it was just a beautiful way that the Lord just was hugging me. Like he just wrapped his arms around me. He's like, I got you. And then in that squad, my best friend, she's from Detroit. And so I'm like, what? Like, and we instantly connected and clicked. And she had a son last year. I'm a godmother. Like the Lord has just met me here. Friendships that I couldn't pay for. Community that's like sisters. It's like, it's really my sisters. It's like, it felt like we've known each other forever. And it's like, that's just the ingenuity of the Lord. And then I'm being discipled. I have somebody meeting with me weekly, unpacking the word with me, helping me to understand my emotions, my mind. All of these things are just taking place, and it's so effortless, so easy, so supernatural because it's where the Lord has me. He called me here. So he's making sure that everything that I need, he's meeting that need. The healing that I've experienced is supernatural. And so obedience to me is so important because if I had not left, I wouldn't be here. I know that. Like my mind was snapping and I didn't have anyone to walk me through the word. And so getting in this space and actually having someone help me attack those areas, the supernatural healing that I've experienced is I you can't pay for that. You can't pay for it. There ain't enough therapy in the world. And I did go to therapy, intense, 3 days a week. I said, for sure, I need help. But also paired with discipleship. That right there has set me free. And yeah, man, I'm in awe of the Lord. So when the Lord tells you to do something, you do it because it's connected to so much and so many people. And so a year of being in a squad and being discipled and being up under this ministry, this teaching, my mind was being renewed and it brought me out of emotional idolatry. And so, what I learned by being discipled by the word of God is that we are driven by our emotions. And when you don't have the understanding of the word of God, your emotions are leading you. Whatever you feel, you do. You're looking for God in a feeling, and so it keeps you stagnant. I remember just needing a dose of church. Like I was just looking forward to Sunday prior to moving to Georgia because I didn't have the revelation of God, and so I needed someone else to keep. Like when you leave church and you feel like, oh, I feel good, and then you go back home and it's like, where did it go? Who took it? Because the emotions, right? I didn't have a healthy relationship with my emotions and I was looking for God to just change me. But that wasn't true. That was the idolatry of being emotional. And so you go to these churches that's full of high emotion and you're not really being transformed. And so when I moved here and I began to get the word and understand the word, and the word became revelatory, I was able to see God in the midst of everything that I was going through, despite how I felt. And that right there, that changed the way that I pursue God, the way I understand Him. And it gave me a healthy relationship with my emotions. Like I learned to just let them be. I don't try to change them, judge them, critique them. They are what they are, but they are not indicators of God. And so that has healed my mind, and that has helped me be strong and firm in my faith because I had correct teaching. I had the right discipleship. And so this move has just been so transformative for my life. And so just a year later, I was nominated to be a squad leader. Who? Like I was coming from powder. Like I have been bruised and deeply wounded. I'm barely holding on. So I thought. And so when they asked me to be who? And that is the gift of discipleship and mentorship because someone walks up beside you and they see what you can't see. And it propels you out of that place of where you are content being in a space where you don't realize you're stronger than you are. You don't realize you've grown more than you understand. And so when I got the call and she's asking me to, would I take it on? I said, no. For sure, no. I need stuff. One, I'm needy. And two, like I love this group of people. I don't want to leave. And so I said, I don't know about that. And she said, pray on it and call me back. I said, all right. But I had already in my mind, like, no. And so I hung up the phone. I remember I was at the car wash when she called. Before I even got out the car wash, the Lord said, oh, yeah, absolutely you are. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm needy. And he said, you'll never not have needs. And then the sense of peace again. It's like, no, I'm asking you to do this. And I said, okay. And so before I started to vacuum, I called her back. I said, all right, I guess I am. And then again, the excitement, because when you agree with the Lord, He gives you everything you need and He propels you into the direction in which He's calling you in. So I began to just get excited and I'm like, wow. And so, yeah, got into that space of being a squad leader. Here go people, right? And then opening my home, and I remember just wrestling with that. Like, I don't want people in my house. I'm nervous. Like, oh, who am I gonna teach? What am I gonna say to them? Like, I didn't feel qualified. I'm like, I'm just kind of learning the word. Um, I don't what am I supposed to teach them? Like, and I know, like, the space of fragility that I'm in, like, I'm unpacking emotions, like, I'm in a really tight space. And the Lord just kept telling me, like, you're more qualified than you know. You're stronger than you think you are. And you've grown more than you recognize. And so the Lord will put you in a space to put a demand on what He's put in you, because otherwise you wouldn't know it. You'd still be in a space of thinking that you need more than you do, because you've not shifted out of that environment, that mentality, the environment of you. It's like you are still in this space of thinking you're so broken when actually you've been healed. You've actually made more progress than you realize, but you won't know it until we shift spaces. And so coming into the space of leadership has shown me, oh, I actually have grown a lot more. But if I had stayed in that space of thinking I need to receive, you never give. And so you're not seeing the transaction of the Lord of when you've actually been equipped to pour. And so now I'm seeing, I'm like, okay. And so we get in this space of um, squads. I love my squad. I love my sisters. And it's just been a beautiful, beautiful sisterhood. And I've grown so much in it. Now I'm mentoring people. Like, how? You couldn't have told me 2 years ago that I would be sitting in a space where I'm leading a group of women, where I'm doing one on one with younger women. Like, my life literally has transformed supernaturally before my eyes. It's been 2 years since I was in a closet crying and screaming and 100 pounds. Nothing but the Lord. Nothing but the Lord. And so now it's just the major takeaway that I got from transitioning to Georgia is obedience. Like, your obedience is connected to your provision, it's connected to your healing, it's connected to your ministry, you like who you are in the Lord is connected to your obedience. He knows better than you do. Like, you got to know that. Like, I don't know what's best for me. I don't know what I need. I need him. And it's like the blessed are those who are poor in spirit. And that means like being empty of all self sufficiency. You have to know that you need God. That is the most safest place you can be, is that I need God. And so if he tells me to do a thing, I better do that, because he knows me better than I know me. He's in my tomorrow. And so letting go of the belief that you are taking care of yourself, you're not. In the space I was in, I wasn't keeping me. He was keeping me. I was being kept. And in the space I'm in now, I'm not doing this. He is. But it's because I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I'm safe in his hands. He's got me. And so now to just see my life unfold in this way, I'm just in awe of him every day. Before I came up here to record this podcast, I was just drunk in the spirit because I can't believe it. Like, I am so enamored by him. Like, he's alive for one, and he's a miracle worker. My life is a miracle. Without him, I know where I'd be. I know we hear people all the time say, I don't know where I'd be without the Lord. I do. A mental institution, dead, another abortion clinic. I know where I'd be without him. And so if I can leave you with anything through just me testifying about this move and this transition, it's just obey God. You don't have to know why, and you don't have to know where. Just go. If he tells you that it's time to transition and there's a move, just agree quickly. Okay, Lord, I heard you. Because you continue the conversation with him. When you shut that down and it's no, or I don't know, I don't want to go nowhere, he's no longer speaking, because that's not him. And so you just agree. Yes, Lord, I heard you. Let's go. And know that he will build you as you go. He will build you into the person who can steward where he's taking you. I couldn't this literally blows me away. I'm sitting here doing a podcast when I literally was just on my last marble 2 years ago. This is God. And so I guess I just want to encourage whoever's listening that, oh, just be obedient. Your obedience is connected to so much of your own transformation, but it's connected to so many other people. I'm watching the lives of the women that I'm doing life with be transformed by my obedience. That's valuable. And it fills you up. It pulls you into a space of fellowship with the Lord that you just can't get nowhere else. And so just be obedient. Just obey him, trust him. Um, you're more than what you know. He's got you. You're safe. Um, he knows what you need. He knows your thoughts. So be transparent with him. Uh, I remember when I moved here and I was looking for a place and I didn't trust him. I didn't trust that I was going to get a place. I didn't trust that he was going to make sure me and my son were safe. I didn't trust that he was going to make sure we didn't face homelessness and I was going to run back to security. I didn't trust him. And so when I was on the highway every day driving back and forth, the conversation I was having with the Lord is, I don't trust you, but I want to. Help me. Because an honest conversation with the Lord is where he can reveal himself. When we pretend that we trust him in a way that we don't, he don't have no room in that space, because he says, worship me in spirit and in truth. And he is not intimidated or afraid of your thoughts and how you feel. He's not afraid of that. He's not insecure. And the Lord can handle everything that is you. Everything that you think, he can handle that. And so not being afraid to talk to him. He wants relationship with you. So when you're in relationship with the person, you have to let them know, listen, I don't like the way you did that. Could you explain to me the thought process behind it? Or I don't trust that you're going to show up. So talk, and then that person has insight on how to be intentional with you. And so with the Lord, I've learned to be intentional with him because he's intentional. And so if I don't trust you, I need to let you know so that you can fill me with trust, so that you can lead me into a space where I develop trust. So the relationship with the Lord is a developmental process. You don't know God, you're coming to know him. That has changed my whole perspective on my relationship with the Lord, the fact that I don't know him and I don't have to, right? And so removing that performative nature when it comes to God. Like I'm gonna act like he's everything to me. No, actually, I don't know you in this space, and I really don't know if you're gonna show up for me. That enters into a journey of learning him in that space. Lord, I don't know if you're gonna help me sustain my bills. I don't know if you're gonna help me sustain this new place that you've given me, this new job that you give me, this new ministry that you come to. I don't know if you're gonna sustain me there. Good. Now he can teach you his nature in that space. He's Jehovah Jireh. And so if he's Jehovah Jireh, it's not just a song that I want to sing, it's an experience with Jehovah Jireh that I want. And so, Lord, I don't trust that you are going to provide. Good. Now let me show you. That's the kind of God he is. He wants to indwell you. He wants to do life with you. I don't know you as a protector. I don't know you as Jehovah Nissi, that you'll make sure that you cover everything pertaining to me. Good. Now let's go on a journey. Let me show you that I'm him. And so my life has just been that with him. It's just him continuously to show me he's him. I am who I say I am. And that is it. That's the key. It's just learn him, sit with him, develop in the character of him, learn his attributes. Take away put the word on thoughts that is anti-Christ. Anything that doesn't sound like him's not him. Anything that isn't building you is not him. Anything that isn't helping you to get to know him is not him. Any thought that you have against yourself that is not positive is not him. And so learning to put the word over your thought life, the way you think about a thing is exactly how it's going to portray out in your life. The Recovery Room is a podcast birthed from a place of deep desire for healing and serenity. I wanted to create a space for people like myself who are on a journey to discover their true identity, their identity rooted in Christ. A place where we unpack the hard seasons that led us into covering our scars. A space where we develop the skin we were always designed to thrive in. A space to laugh, cry, feel, be heard and seen in our truest form, without judgment or the presence of shame, but comforted by the presence of the Lord. A place where safety is served, vulnerability is lived, integrity built, and character developed. Healing isn't a destination you reach, it's a journey you decide to take. Welcome to the Recovery Room. I am your host, Nisi Diamond. Let's unpack this together.